Upgrade to Shore non-stop protection.
England women produced their best performance of the tournament to secure a last 16 tie against Nigeria on Monday. They hammered China 6-1 to maintain their 100% record, and they have a day to prepare for the knockout stages of the tournament. We can go live to Gail Davis, who is in Sydney for us. Over to you, Gail.
Yeah, very good evening, Hayley. We are back in Sydney, fresh off the flight. Look who else was in Sydney, was in Adelaide last night. Joe Montemurro was watching England as well. He's on TV duties over here, former Arsenal, now Juventus coach. And Joe, we'll look at England in a bit more detail, but what was the feeling when you came away from the stadium last night, having seen them put 6 past China?
Well, look, obviously a dominant performance, but the thing that's really impressed me over the last 3 games is that they've really set themselves up in terms of for the knockout stages, and what I mean by that is that they've just tinkered with systems. They've done little adjustments along the way. Everyone's got some game time, and I think they've still got a little bit more left in them. Yeah.
What was your reaction when you saw the team? Because Serena Beekman had been very tight-lipped, and we know she can be a little bit conservative sometimes. She trusts certain players. As a coach, did you admire what she did in terms of completely changing her system last night?
Well, it was unexpected. Obviously, we haven't seen Serena really tinker with a back 4, and to go to a back 3 and a 3-4-3 in that sort of structure was brave, you know. But again, you know, it's planned. I think obviously with the absence of Kira Walsh, I mean, it was important that she started something or did something else. And a 3-4-3 is a system which really is a progressive system, allows them to get forward a lot, allows Lauren James that freedom. And look, I think it was a real brave choice.
Yeah, we'll mention Lauren James in a moment because a lot of column inches dedicate to her. She was quite fantastic. But I'm really interested in terms of, excuse the noise over there, somebody's having a good time behind us outside the Opera House. As a coach, when you lose someone like Kira Walsh, how easy is it just to try and find a replacement? I mean, she tried it with Laura Coombs and Georgia Stanway, didn't she?
Yeah.
And how you mentioned her being brave. You're at a World Cup. I guess there's a reason why people regard her as one of the best coaches in the women's game.
Well, you've got to make those decisions. You've got to make those decisions in the situation that's handed. I mean, Kira Walsh is so important because it allows you to play with one holding midfielder. Yeah. You don't need to have a second protection or anything like that in front of the back 4. And you know, she's so good in terms of controlling tempo. What the 3 does probably allows you to have one holding midfielder, but also allows you to have midfielders more advanced. Yeah. So you've got that protection just by having those advanced midfielders. And look, I mean, she's just had to adjust. And the important thing is that when you introduce a new system, it introduces also a new level of energy in the team.
Yeah, she mentioned that. Yeah. She mentioned how impressed she had been with the players, because if you've got 2 training sessions, how do you go about instilling that confidence in the players to play in a totally different way?
Well, it's interesting. You can sort of go either way. You can sort of say, "Oh, well, I've lost belief because I want to change things up." But I think what it really does is solidify the team. If you've got something that everyone buys into, it helps the players that are probably not playing to say, "Okay, well, there's a new system. We're learning. We're progressing," and it just keeps the interest back in the team. And I think it's clever, from a tactical perspective, but also a psychological perspective.
And Lauren James, you just touched on there, she could have had a hat-trick, really. I think a few people walked away from that stadium wondering how she didn't have a hat-trick. But how impressed have you been? Because you probably heard murmurs, saw her a little bit when she was sort of 16 or so, when you were still at Arsenal, and see the progression. What did you make of her performance last night?
Look, I mean, I think the game told the story of the type of player that she is. But to have someone who just is so comfortable on the ball, time on the ball, under pressure, has time to pick her moments, her timing's incredible. Look, we always knew that she was going to be a superstar, and the funny thing is, he's talking about the system. I think it suits her quite well because she can float. It's not necessarily having with a top 3. She can float underneath a top 2, or just pick up play anywhere she wants. But look, she if nurtured in the right way, if introduced in the right way, if given the confidence, she can be a world-class player.
And at the other end, We know England were without key personnel, Leah Williamson, somebody you know very well. How well did you think the defenders adapted to that three at the back? And in particular, how impressed were you with Millie Bright's performance? Because I thought she was outstanding yesterday.
I agree. Look, I think it's important to note the way China set up too. So it was pretty easy for the back three to progress quite easily because they really were only pressing with one or a second player. So it made it a lot easier and they were quite deep. But look, Millie Bright is just, she's got this nature about her. She just commands respect, and one of these leaders that just does on the pitch. And they're the sort of leaders that I like, that just by actions.
Yeah. One more before we talk maybe broader around the World Cup. If you're a coach now and you're coming up against England, how difficult is it to plan? Because England really do have a lot of different ways they can play.
Absolutely. Now they've got a plan B, a plan C. They can tinker with things, during the game. And they've got personnel to bring on. Yeah. Where do you start? You probably start on, just looking at maybe some areas where they probably lapse a little bit. I'd like to see teams press them maybe a little bit higher and see and maybe stop them from playing out a little bit earlier.
Yeah. And they may get that against Nigeria.
Well, they might get that against Nigeria, because they are quite well structured. They're a team that will stay in their defensive shape quite a lot, and they're very good when they retrieve the ball because they do find the outlets.
And let's talk about the World Cup as a whole, because you've seen even more airports than we have over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
You were actually in Melbourne, weren't you, watching the Matildas game? And you've covered all of Australia's game. Record viewing figures here, we were talking about before, more than double the numbers who are watching the Ashes. There is a sense of real excitement. What have you made of the competition and how your fellow Australians have kind of embraced having the World Cup here?
Well, for me, it's a real sense of pride, because obviously football here is a third, fourth tier sport. That's the honest truth, behind the AFL and rugby and cricket. And for us to put on this event to showcase the beauty of the game and how important the game is, and especially in the women's game, I think it's really, really amazing. We love our national teams like everyone else, and for the Matildas to progress, it's really going to gain a lot of momentum, and hopefully the tournament will kick in, allowing the game to progress in this country.
You do get a sense they kind of needed that game against Canada, just to galvanise the support around here. And how impressed were you? Because they were under a little bit of pressure and there were a few people that were beginning to write off the Matildas.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. First of all, we're probably all questioning how we got ourselves into this position, how it's relying on one game whether to progress. So that's probably the questions we're asking ourselves. But look, in the end, we know the quality of this squad. We know the quality of players, and it's been a group that's been together for a long, long time. And I think they just it was the realisation, and they just got together and said, let's do it.
So tell us, how do you think the quarterfinals will shape up? We've got last 16, we're into the last 16 rounds. So from that, who goes through?
Yeah, look,
who's winning it?
Who's winning it? God, I've on television have picked all the losers. So I've been given the kiss of death. So if I pick someone, they tend to sort of not go through.
Yeah.
Well, I picked China last night, and I did it on purpose. I did it on purpose,
oh, really?
knowing that England would go through. But it's so even. It's so even. We're seeing the formidable powerhouse at the US. It could have gone either way yesterday. But look, I think this is just going to go. It's going to go on moments. It's going to go on the team that has the ability to sort of read the moment in the game and make that change and do that little bit extra.
What we really want to know is how far do you think England will go?
I'm putting a semi-final. And then the last four, it goes anyway.
Come on, just give us a winner.
Oh, geez, that's tough.
I can't.
Word. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put the. Yeah, no, don't do that to me.
No, okay, well,
don't do it to me.
Thank you very much for your time today. Joe's got a couple more games to take in before he's back on a flight pre-season with Juventus. So it's great to join us. Great for you to join us this evening, and we'll have plenty more. We are back in Sydney. England are up in Terrigal, so about an hour and a half away. I'm sure they're having a little bit of time off before they prepare for that last 16 game. That's in Brisbane in 6 days' time against Nigeria.
Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you.